Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of To The Point podcast. Hope you're all doing well on this Tuesday. And a fun show we have for you today. Obviously, yours truly is here, your host, Noah Warren. And later on in the show, my normal guest on Tuesday, Shamus Fillmore, will join. Hopefully, his uh, electronics and his gear, his mic is working this week alongside mine. So we'll see if technology can be a lamb there. And also, Casey Ward, good friend of the show, who hasn't been on in a minute, is going to rejoin the podcast. And I wanted to have the two guys on. I want to talk about a number of different things. We got the PGA, the FedEx Cup playoffs. The last 3 weekends of the PGA season really are capping off on Thursday down in Memphis. So we're going to talk about that this afternoon. Casey and Shamus are both also Cleveland Browns, or I've labeled them Clowns fans. So I want to get their read on the Deshaun Watson situation, how they're viewing this upcoming season as fans, how they're going to approach it. And we'll dive into a number of other different topics as well. And we might even unveil a new segment later in the podcast as well. So that's something that to look forward to towards the end of the show. Two guys will be able to just ask me questions about the sports world or anything really. So they'll be asked Noah anything. We'll see if they've come up with anything. I'm sure they'll have some smart aleck or a question that is off the beaten path. But hey, I'll answer anything. It's a Tuesday, and I'm locked and loaded, ready to go. So they should be here in about an hour's time, maybe a little under an hour. So we'll talk to Casey and Shamus shortly. But before we get there, we had some breaking news in the sports world today, and that was that Serena Williams, fresh off winning her first-round match at the National Bank Open yesterday in Toronto, announced this afternoon that she will be retiring from professional tennis after the 2023 U.S. Open and Flushing Meadows starting later this month. Serena is a 23-time Grand Slam champion. She is the face of women's tennis. She's been the face of female athletics, I think you could argue, for many years. And to me, Serena Williams has represented and will continue to represent as the greatest female athlete of all time. Any sport, to me, it's not even close. If there's anybody that comes to mind for you, feel free to write it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. But to me, Serena Williams is the mecca. She's the face. She's the starting block when it comes to talking about female athletes, their accomplishments, and just how prior to Serena Williams, I don't think there was as a female athlete that pushed female athletics forward more than Serena, because I think there was a fear for a long time, and this might have been just fear of media. This might have been lack of recognition, lack of a spotlight, if you will, to showcase female athletes, to showcase yourself, to show people what you can do, what you represent. Serena Williams has done that in spades. She has been so pivotal to everything that women are striving to achieve now. She came out and was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. She was representing Nike. She was getting big money a year to be a Nike rep. And not to mention the fact that she was the most dominant force in tennis for 15 years. And Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Novak Djokovic have dominated male tennis. No doubt about it. But the difference between what those three have done and what Serena has done is that she dominated. It was just herself. There's no second running mate. It's not Federer. Well, he might win one, then Djokovic wins one, then Nadal. No, it was Serena. 2 times in her career, she won 4 Grand Slams in a row. The entire slam, the whole season of slams, she won. I think The way I look at her and the way her legacy and what she's leaving behind, Margaret Court has 24 Grand Slams, although that was before the Open era. There was less rounds. It was just a different time. Serena Williams is better than Margaret Court. Whether she gets to 24 or not in her last major, she will still be regarded as a better champion and as a better tennis player than Margaret Court. Anybody that looks otherwise is just a hater and doesn't like the fact that Serena might not be your cup of tea. She's not how you like your athlete. She's not prim. She's not proper, if you will. She will bitch at the umpires. There's things about Serena Williams that I don't like watching sports, but that doesn't change the facts. There are things about Tom Brady that I don't like. Tom Brady is one of the biggest cheaters in sports history, period. Still, the fact remains he's a winner. That fact doesn't change. I don't like that he cheats. I don't like that he deflates footballs, that he tampers seemingly every year, but that doesn't change the facts that he has 7 Super Bowls. Until they strip him of all of them, unless he's Lance Armstrong, that remains the same. Serena Williams was the anti-Martina Navratilova, was the anti-Chrissy Everett. But the biggest difference between those two women and Serena Williams is that she saw an opportunity to push female athletics forward in ways that those two women didn't. When it came to her promoting herself, when it came to building a brand, building a personal brand, doing what she did when it comes to her charity work, her businesses, they didn't do that like Serena did. Chrissy Everett joined the media. Martina Navratilova really is still in the tennis world, but not as much. Serena has businesses. She's still winning. She's one of the biggest names in all of professional sports. Nobody would, if you had to name the biggest athletes in sports today, or you had to name the biggest athlete, the greatest athletes of all time, Chrissy Everett or Martina Navratilova would not be high on that list. Serena Williams, I guarantee you, even though she is a woman, she would be in 99% of people's top 5s. And if they aren't, well, they're a sexist. I think of the best athletes of all time, the most dominant in their sport. Tiger comes to mind for me. Obviously, Tom Brady. Serena Williams. I can't lump in a male tennis player because they're all so close. Those 3, Usain Bolt, maybe Michael Phelps, but again, that's an Olympic sport and it's different, although I do lump them in because they're winning gold medals and not winning bronze and silver and the medals that shouldn't even be awarded at the Olympics. But Serena, every female, I just think of Canada and the rise and fall, if you will, of Eugenie Bouchard, Bianca Andreescu, the fame that these women got, Eugenie just getting to a final, Bianca winning the biggest crown and winning a Grand Slam title against Serena Williams. That was impressive. That was something that you can't imagine. But think of the pop. Think of the recognition, the accolades that these women got when they rose to fame. When Eugenie Bouchard got to the Wimbledon final in 2014 and lost to Petra Kvitova. But she was on top of the world. She was given opportunities. She was given marketing deals. She was modeling. A lot of that has to go to Serena Williams. Of course, her success has something to do with it, but also who was doing that before Serena? Who was getting those opportunities? Kim Clijsters wasn't pushing the sport forward. It was a different, you could say it was a different era, but also she pushed it forward. She made it possible for that next generation. She got these marketing opportunities that Bianca Andreescu, that Eugenie Bouchard did, but the big difference is that, oh yeah, she won also. Sure, she got all these opportunities. She rose to fame. She had all kinds of distractions, but she kept winning. She kept winning tournament after tournament after tournament. She hasn't won since 2017. It's a long time. 2017 Australian Open, her last major win. But that does not change the fact that she is an all-time great. Should she have gone out earlier? Absolutely. I've been saying this for some time. If you listen to me in the podcast, I say the same damn thing about Roger Federer. Roger Federer, everybody's favorite tennis player, is doing the same thing Serena is doing, not hanging them up at the right time. So if you're going to criticize one, criticize the other. I can't say it's a sad day for tennis because she's done so much for the sport. Like I said, she's the greatest of all time. She doesn't have to play another tournament. She's going to play another match tomorrow night in Canada. She didn't play a night match yesterday, which is beyond baffling to me, but she'll play tomorrow night in prime time. Whatever happens at this tournament moving forward, whatever happens at the US Open is really secondary. It's really irrelevant because Serena Williams has left her message. She's left her mark on the sport of tennis, on the sports world in general. She will forever be remembered. And every woman now is aiming to be half of what Serena was. We look at Naomi Osaka, Coco Gauff, our great women tennis players from Canada. They're hoping to win a major. They're hoping to stay relevant. They're hoping to be consistent enough to be in the top 10 year over year over year. Serena Williams had 246 weeks of her career at world number one. She won 23 Grand Slams. No one will ever be regarded in the same light as she will. She leaves the sport the dominant one. She leaves the sport of tennis the greatest player in tennis history, and that includes men, in my opinion. And she might just leave the sports world as the greatest athlete of all time. That's a big discussion. It's a big debate. But to me, what she's done for 20 years, how consistently she's done it, and how she changed the sport, not many other people can say that. Not many people could say that they were as good as Serena Williams was for that period of time. Beating everyone. Maria Sharapova was once labeled her biggest opponent. The biggest threat to Serena Williams was Maria Sharapova. After Maria Sharapova beat Serena Williams in their first meeting, when Maria was 17 at Wimbledon, she was the youngest winner ever at the time. She did not beat Serena again. She lost, I believe, 21 matches in a row. It was complete and utter dominance from Serena Williams against her biggest opponent after that in her generation. It was that one-sided. You could argue Serena's toughest opponent was her sister Venus, who was a great champion before Serena. No, I think the greatest send-off would be Venus lost last night in the first round at the National Bank to Jill Teichmann. Venus should retire too. She can't win anymore. She's out in the first round of every tournament. She's a legend of the sport as well. What I would hope is that both women enter the singles draw. They play, see how long they go, they retire together. But what I think would be great for the tournament and for the sport is if Serena and Venus play doubles one more time together. Play doubles at the US Open. They're multiple-time major doubles champions. They are tied at the hip forever. They're sisters. They're extremely close. And they've represented the sport of tennis beautifully for such a long time. It's only fitting that two all-time greats leave the sport together, hand in hand. Maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. But I bet Flushing Meadows is hoping for that. Because what's a better spot for these two to walk into the sunset together than at Flushing Meadows in late August at the US Open? Congratulations to Serena on a fantastic career. I'll be watching your match tomorrow night. And just fortunate that I was able to watch her my entire life. I talk about this all the time. I talked about this last week with broadcasters. We're fortunate that we get to see so many great people do what they do. I talked about Vince Scully. I talked about Jim Nantz, Chris Fowler, who does college football, Bob Cole, athletes. I got to see Serena Williams. I got to see Usain Bolt race every one he's ever done. Michael Phelps in the pool. Sidney Crosby. Some of Wayne Gretzky. I didn't get to see every all-time great. But in my 23, almost 24 years of life, 24 next month, getting old, I got to see a lot of great stuff. I'm fortunate. And I think that's how we have to look at this. It's sad that we don't get to see Serena play anymore, but we got to see her play. Do I wish Jaromir Jagr was 21? He was still playing in the NHL? Absolutely. He's my favorite hockey player of all time. I wore number 68 as a kid because of Jaromir Jagr. I like to say that this hair was inspired by Jagr, although it's starting to get a little out of control, but maybe it's a little bit like Jagr myself. So sometimes you can look at it negatively or positively, and I like to skew negative on this show because the negative topics are the more interesting topics, no doubt about it. Just ask my reactions to the Cleveland Browns and the feedback I've gotten. It's doing well for ratings. But occasionally you have to look at your situation, look at what you've been able to absorb, what you've been able to listen to, what you've been able to watch, and just appreciate that you had to witness a lot of these great talents do what they did for their entire career. And that's how I choose to look at this. So kudos to Serena Williams on a fantastic career. And as her career winds down, I'll be watching her match tomorrow night, the National Bank Open, and I'll be watching the U.S. Open in a couple weeks as well. The National Bank Open, which is the tennis tournament in Toronto and Montreal, has been hit with a lot of rain, just like the New Brunswick area. So the men's matches were suspended last night around 9:30. They never restarted. Denis Shapovalov was down a set and a 4-3 in the second set tiebreaker at the time the match was suspended. So Denis is supposed to be heading onto the court here soon. Canadian Vasek Pospisil was already eliminated today, losing to Tommy Paul, an American. So we're still waiting for Denis Shapovalov to hit the court today. We also got on court today in the men's matches. We got Nick Kyrgios is scheduled to play today. We have Cameron Norrie, Taylor Fritz, and Andy Murray are going to be playing tonight. So two guys that are big in the tennis world. We had Leila Annie Fernandez win her match last night. So she is through to the third round here. To the third round. She'll play tomorrow as well. Same day as Serena. So she's through her first match since the French Open where she fractured her foot. So good news for her. But yeah, the tennis has been good. Like I said, I love this tournament. The weather has been disappointing. For Denis Shapovalov, he's got to turn it around today. He gets a weather delay. He was at times last night playing fantastic. Other times he's just completely loose and looks like he's out of it. Where he is 1-9 in his last 10 matches. This is since the first round of the French Open. He's won one match. He's completely undone. He doesn't look confident. He doesn't look centered. And he needs to find it today. We're still waiting to see him hit the court. Play is happening on the men's side, but there's been a lot of rain. And as I'm saying this, the play has just been suspended again. So no Every match has been suspended for the last couple of days on the men's draw. I'm sure it's frustrating to try to fill matches in here. But again, when we see Dennis finish that match, that remains to be seen. But Bianca Andreescu in the women's draw is scheduled to play tonight. She's playing Daria Kasatina, the world number 16, who is from Russia, who just won last week in San Jose. So she's coming off a big victory herself. So we'll see what Bianca has in store tonight as she tries to win her second career National Bank Open. But it's again, I love the tournament. We'll talk more about it as we go through. But for Felix Auger-Aliassime, for Denis Shapovalov, there's lots of great talent. Daniil Medvedev is in this tournament. We got Tsitsipas, Rublev. On the women's side, we got the world number 1. Alina Svitolina from the Ukraine is also playing here. So Petra Kvitova was ousted last night. So a really good field in Canada. I think the promoters and the tournament itself has to be very excited. Of course, the weather's not cooperating with them after our recent heat wave, but we'll see what happens throughout the day when it comes to weather and getting these matches in. Let's pivot to baseball, and we'll talk a little bit of baseball later with Casey and Shamus as well, because both these guys are baseball fans. Casey, I will say this. I'll give him this. He loves the New York Yankees. I don't know how he turned to the New York Yankees because was an Oilers fan in hockey, but he likes. I trust that he loves the New York Yankees. He complains to me about them all the time, and I feel his pain somewhat, although I don't really have a huge heart, as I've been pointed out before, and I don't really feel bad for fans and their lack of success. So maybe I'm not that great a friend, but I do believe that he loves the Yankees. Shamus, on the other hand, claims he's a Dodgers fan, but it's a fake. It's not real. It's a fake fandom. He likes the Dodgers, and I have a big theory of why he likes the Dodgers. I'll unveil that later in the podcast, so stay tuned for that. Might have a little laugh at the end of it, might be a little mean-spirited, but that's what you come to expect from yours truly. But breaking news in the baseball world, the Toronto Blue Jays are signing veteran outfielder Jackie Bradley Jr. According to multiple reports, Bradley, 32, was released by the Boston Red Sox last week. So Jackie Bradley Jr. is one of the best defensive outfielders in all of baseball for the last decade. He's patrolled right field or center for the Red Sox for some time. He's played 9 of his 10 seasons there, 1 in Milwaukee. But he's a good outfielder that can do a lot in the field when it comes to saving runs. He is having a tough year at the plate. He's batting .210 with just 3 home runs and 29 RBI in 91 games. But to me, this signing is an indication for the Blue Jays that George Springer is not healthy. George Springer, who's put on the IL, who the Blue Jays have talked about his elbow being a problem, that they don't know if he's going to be able to play in the outfield, what his pain tolerance is going to be like down the stretch here. But Jackie Bradley Jr. gives another look for this team where so far Whit Merrifield has basically been playing every game in center field. And I don't think that's something they want. He can play everywhere, but he's traditionally a second baseman. He's not a guy that normally plays center every day. And Jackie Bradley Jr. can go out into the field and take that spot, take a defensive spot for teams. This is a fix that I don't think is going to have a huge result. I think Jackie Bradley Jr. is a lot like Bradley Zimmer. And Bradley Zimmer, if you're a Blue Jays fan, is a guy they bring in late in games when they have a lead as a defensive replacement. He is a very good center fielder when it comes to defending a lead, when it comes to making a play. He can't hit a lick. He's batting below 100. They don't even allow him to bat, really. He doesn't play full games anymore because his bat is just that weak. Jackie Bradley Jr. is better than that, but again, he's not going to provide a massive upgrade for this team. But he's played in the American League East for most of his career. That's all he's known. So he knows the pitching at least. He knows the teams you're going to play. The Blue Jays have 14 games left this season against the Baltimore Orioles. Jackie Bradley Jr. has played Baltimore a ton. He's played the Yankees a ton. He's played the Rays, and he's been on the Red Sox team, so we might have some insight into that lineup as well. So It's a flyer. It doesn't cost you any money. You can release this guy in a week if it's not going to work out. We've seen that happen this year with Robinson Cano. He's been cut from 4 different teams, and he's been bouncing around Major League Baseball. So Jackie Bradley Jr. can play right. He can play center. To me, I'd put him in center field. We have Merrifield there now. I put him at center. You keep Lourdes Gurriel in left, and then you put Teoscar Hernandez in right field. There is another option where Teoscar, who I think should be the everyday designated hitter, if he can be your DH, you put Tapia in left, move Gurriel to right, then you have some options there. But I don't think Teoscar wants to be the everyday DH at this point. But again, that's something I think John Schneider should look into because he's by far their worst defensive outfielder. And Jackie Bradley Jr. would add an upgrade when it comes to defensive play in that slot. Jackie Bradley Jr. is not a leadoff hitter. That's one thing. He will not replace George Springer in that regard. I still think the Jays are working through that. Whit Merrifield has batted leadoff for a lot of his career. But if Jackie Bradley Jr. is playing consistently, then Merrifield is going to have to play second base. That means Santiago Espinal would be moved from where he's played this season, where he's been their everyday second baseman. He made the All-Star team. Well, people opted out, so he made the All-Star team. But again, he's been a really good find for this team. He's been a good shoulder for Ross Atkins, for Mark Shapiro. And I'm not sure you want to shake up that clubhouse like that where Merrifield is getting games that Espinal has earned in a sense. I talked yesterday about the Milwaukee Brewers and how things are a little tense there. It seems that they're not really that happy that they made moves in the offseason that made moves at the trade deadline, that Josh Hader's gone, that their team on paper is worse, and they're losing games to bad teams. They're losing to the Pirates. They're losing to the Orioles. So they need to make some changes in a hurry there. I think that could do some things to the Blue Jays lineup as well if Espinal is not getting at-bats and Whit Merrifield is. But I think the leadoff spot is still something they need to work out. Jackie Bradley Jr. will not be the fix to all their problems in center field when it comes to leadoff hitter. He's an 8 or a 9 hitter. If you have a really good team, he should be your number 9 hitter, which I think he will be on the Blue Jays. Danny Jansen, their catcher position with Alejandro Kirk, has been better than anything Jackie Bradley Jr. has provided when it comes to hitting a baseball. So again, low risk signing, and I do think he will provide some value in the field. I wouldn't expect much when it comes to a bat because he doesn't have any power, and he doesn't hit for average. He strikes out a ton. You just got to hope that he doesn't hit into double plays because that's what the Blue Jays did last night in Baltimore. They had 3 ground balls that turned into double plays. They did not want to hit with guys in scoring position last night. They had a terrible game. They left so many runners on base. And I mean, I could look at last night's game and see they had so many issues. Again, they hit too many double plays. I'll get to the starting pitching in a minute. The home run ball was just going over the wall. And you didn't see enough from the big boys. Vladdy's turning it around. Vladdy's starting to play well. I look at guys like Bo Bichette. He needs to do more. He needs to be a guy that provides some impact for this team, especially with Springer gone. Vladdy can only do so much. Alejandro Kirk's going through a skid right now. He's on the worst skid of his career. This was bound to happen. He's having such a career year. He made the All-Star team. He was the easiest All-Star vote on this team. But to think that this guy was going to bat .330 the whole year was a bit crazy. He's batting below 300 now. And I think he'll find it. He's too good of a hitter to really go on this big a slump. But while he's figuring it out, while he's finding the plate again, they need guys like Bo Bichette. They need guys like Teoscar Hernandez to find it so that this team can still win some ball games while they don't have Springer and Kirk's not at his best. But I talked about the trade deadline and how this team had issues. They needed to upgrade them. Starting pitching was the biggest need for this team for me because Ross Stripling is not a guy you want starting in the playoffs. Jose Barrios is a guy you're banking on, but he's been completely unreliable all season long. Don't know if you watched the last Friday night's game where he just got completely blowed up where he gave up 5 earned runs in 4 innings, and that was just a disaster for Jose Barrios in Minnesota against his former team. He was a disaster there. So he hasn't been good in his last number of starts. He hasn't been good all year. The two guys you can rely on are Gausman and Manoah. You don't have a third starter right now that you can trust. They got Mitch White at the deadline. He's not a starter. He's more of a bullpen arm that can give you 3 to 4 innings if you need it. But again, he wasn't a long-term fix. But Barrios has been a gas can. Ross Stripling's on the injured reserve, so it's unclear when he'll return. And Yusei Kikuchi is the guy they're banking on. They signed him to a 3-year, $36 million contract in the offseason, and he's been a guy that's been completely unreliable. He's been a guy that can barely give you 5 innings. And if he does give you 5 innings, it seems to be tied with 5 earned runs. He's allowing more walks than strikeouts per start, and last night was no different. He goes 5+ last night, where he goes 5 innings plus a batter. He walked his extra batter, gave up 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and he allowed 3 home runs. That's another problem with Kikuchi, is he cannot keep the ball in the ballpark. He gives up a home run, multiple home runs every game, it seems. And we're not talking about Yankee Stadium, where you can hit a shot to right and you can hit it 210 yards. It's going to leave the park. It's 400 yards to dead center in Baltimore to hit a home run. Santander, Austin Hayes, Ryan Mountcastle. These guys were hitting dingers last night for the Baltimore Orioles, and they win another game. And with the Mariners' loss to the Yankees, they are now a game back of the Mariners in the final wildcard slot. They are now only 4 games back of the Blue Jays for the top wildcard spot. This Baltimore team, they deserve a ton of credit. 14 more games against the Jays. I don't know how many of them they're going to win. I expect their bubble to burst here soon, but I've been saying that for a couple weeks. They continue to win. They said, fuck the trade deadline. You trade away pieces we like. We're still going to win games with a low payroll, and we're going to compete for a wild card spot. Why not? Anthony Santander is really the silent leader of this team. He got his 20th home run last night, the DH/right fielder. And this team just has a swagger about them. They're just playing confident, playing good baseball, and they continue to win games. So, again, I think they'll fall off, but the Blue Jays shouldn't just say, well, it's Baltimore anymore. You can't say that anymore. They've proven themselves. It's mid-August, and they're still in a wild card hunt. They deserve respect for what they've accomplished this season. But for the Blue Jays, Kikuchi is not an answer. He's proven that again and again. He will not be in a playoff roster. If he is, it's because you're in deep trouble, and guess what? You're not winning. He cannot be a starting pitcher in the playoffs. He just can't. You can't sell that to your team. You can't sell that to your fan base. Nobody is buying that junk. Jose Barrios has been a gas can. He struggled against Minnesota on the road. Well, let's go through this. You're chasing the Yankees in the standings. You're back by 10.5, 11 games. Meaning the series would start in New York. What if you have to start one of the first 2 games because scheduling doesn't work out and you have to start a game on the road? Well, it's not like you get to set up your schedule. You play every game at home. Barrios has been terrible on the road, decent at home. Well, you don't always get to be. You're going to be on the road a lot in these playoffs because you're going to be a wildcard team. You'll be lucky to be the top wildcard team the way you played lately. But the inability to find starting pitching should not be lost. And here's the reason why. The pushback to my argument is, well, no, you're overreacting. You're losing it. Okay. Well, I hear your thoughts. I'd agree with you if it wasn't a team that was projected to win the World Series. They were the odds-on favorite more than the Dodgers to win the World Series at the start of the season. So if you don't address it, now where is this team? Are they not competing for a title? Is losing in the wild card game acceptable this year? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't, because it won't be acceptable for the New York Yankees. It won't be acceptable for the San Diego Padres, who continue to lose games, and they're only a game out from the final wild card spot in the National League. It should never be accepted. And I don't care if it's small market. I don't care what the reasoning is. A team that has expectations to win a World Series deserves criticism for not being aggressive. It's not overreacting when you have expectations. Baltimore is playing with house money. Nobody expected them to be this good. Nobody expected them at this point of the year to be 7 games above 500. Nobody. But they are. And they have this belief that they can make the playoffs, that they can catch the Mariners. The Mariners made all these moves at the deadline, but guess what? We lost players. We'll still make it. We got 14 games left against the Blue Jays. Maybe we'll split them. I think they believe that in that locker room. Brandon Hyde, who I thought was a dead man walking after this year, has rallied this team. This team believes in themselves. They want to compete. They want to make the postseason for the first time since 2016, where they lost to the Blue Jays in a wild card game. That's the difference. There's teams in different stages. Seattle would just kill to make the playoffs. Sure, they traded for Luis Castillo, but they would kill someone just to make the playoffs because they haven't made the playoffs since 2001. Over 20 years of ineptitude. As I mentioned, Baltimore. In the National League, San Diego, no. Losing in the wild card round will not be acceptable after all the moves they made to get better. The Milwaukee Brewers, missing the playoffs, I don't think will be acceptable. I think ownership was okay with losing Josh Hader, but they still expected to miss the playoffs because they've been a perennial playoff team for so many years now. There are teams in different states. Milwaukee would be happy to make the playoffs. Philadelphia Phillies are in a playoff spot right now. They're in the first wild card slot. They're happy with that. They're not going to catch the Mets. Maybe there's a second wild card slot, sorry. Maybe they'll catch the Braves. Who knows? But the Phillies, after firing Joe Girardi and being in a position to make the playoffs, that's 100% a win. They didn't expect to be in this position. They fired their manager out of desperation. They fired their manager because they didn't feel they had another option. They had to do something because they have a team with a massive payroll that Dave Dombrowski is incredibly worried about his job security because he just fired his last bullet. He felt he had to do something to change the dynamic, change the outlook, change the vibe of this ball club. It worked. But they'd be happy to make the playoffs because since Bryce Harper has landed in Philadelphia, newsflash, they've never made the playoffs. They spent $330 million to bring him in. It has resulted in him winning an MVP in a season where they didn't make the postseason and a COVID-shortened year where they missed the playoffs. That's it. That's where their money has gone. They need something to validate it. They need something to gain momentum to put themselves in a position where they can think about competing for the National League East next year with the Mets and with the Atlanta Braves. Getting to the postseason and seeing if they can go on a run will do that. These teams are in different stages. We still got a month and a half left in the baseball season. But if it's just sunshine and daisies, rainbows with the Toronto Blue Jays about their starting pitching, it shouldn't be. Alek Manoah and Kevin Gausman shadow. They hide. They are the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter when it comes to just how ugly and just how bad this staff is. Kikuchi, Barrios. Who's fifth? If Stripling's not there, Mitch White. First off, if the Dodgers are trading a starting pitcher, you shouldn't want him because they don't trade away crap. Well, I guess they kind of do. They acquired Joey Gallo. Other than that, they acquire good pieces because they're in the winning business, not in the hope business. I don't know. Blue Jays fans, I wouldn't panic, but I'm not calm. I'm not calm if you think you're winning a World Series. Because with this pitching the way it is, Jose Barrios has to turn into a legit starter. Because giving up 4.5 earned every game, every start, having a 5.50 ERA, and more walks than strikeouts in 2 years, 5 starting pitchers, you're not going to win much. you're not going to get to the World Series. You're not going to be close to get to the pennant. American League is interesting because there are more good batters than there are great pitchers in the American League. I think the opposite can be said in the National League. I've talked about the Mets, how good their pitching staff is. The Dodgers have a very solid pitching staff. Padres don't, but again, that's why they won't get to the World Series. And as I said yesterday, my early prediction, the Padres will not make it past the first round of the playoffs. They might not even make it out of the wild card, but they will not get to a championship series this season. Lay it down. It'll happen. It'll be a fact. We'll revisit it, whether I'm right or I'm wrong, because that's how I do business on this show. I point out when I'm right because I'm excited about it. I'll point it out when I'm wrong because I like to hold myself accountable because that's life. The Mets, the Dodgers have good pitching. The National League Braves have decent pitching. Again, not great. But these teams at the top do. Cardinals actually do have good pitching. If they get in the playoffs, they can be dangerous because they have pitchers that have been there before, and they do have a very solid staff. They also have a crazy good bullpen with Jordan Hicks and Ryan Helsley, who has a 0.63 ERA this year. He's got one of the nastiest curveballs in all of baseball. Now, in the American League, the Blue Jays don't have a great pitching staff. I've pointed that out the last 10 minutes. The Yankees don't. They don't. There's this weird phenomenon that the Yankees have really good pitching. They don't. The Yankees have good batters. The Yankees have flashy names. Their pitching staff is average. If you see a sign that says average, it has Domingo Germán and it has Jameson Taillon next to it because that's what they are, average. That's in the National League, it's great pitching. American League, you have great batters. That's how I see these coming. It's the teams in the American League that can ship up their pitching to catch up to Houston because Houston is the best team in baseball. Whoever can catch Houston, if anybody can do anything to equal their pitching, they will have a chance of representing the American League in the World Series because the National League is better. So we got one of our guests on the line today. He's back after our technical difficulties last week. We'll see what happens today. But he's looking dapper with the rainy coat on and the backwards hat and a little stubble there. Shay, how are things?
Hey, can you hear me this time? No? Give it another go. 1 second.
Let me see here.
Hello. 2 weeks in a row, we are struggling on this podcast. Look forward to our discussion today. Juggy shitting on the Yankees early. God. Yankees have made some moves, though. Houston's the best team, though. He's not wrong. We'll get him fired up, though, when he gets back here, as long as he can hear me. Excited to talk about some golf today. Are we any better? I can hear you. Any better now?
Casey, how are you?
What's going on, boys? Can you hear me?
I can't hear you either.
Can you hear me, Casey?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't hear me?
No, I can hear you. It's this is the same thing. We did this last week, and it's musical chairs, I guess, between me and Juggy with our sound. So last week we couldn't get figured out, and I just dropped it. So how are things with you, my friend?
We're getting through. We're grinding. Club championship this weekend, so just jumping on the pod today, and then grinding at the golf course the rest of the week. And
give me your week detail on a big championship like that? What's your mindset, and what's every day look like after the work?
Get out of the house, go hit a couple buckets of balls, and kind of just go from there. I mean, the boys that are going to win are going to shoot under par, and I mean, I haven't sniffed under par all year, so it's just I don't know.
Don't be hard on yourself.
No, I just I don't know. I'd like to play well. I just want to shoot close to as par as possible and try and maybe set a PB or a low round of the year or something. So that's kind of what's on the
goal. Okay. What's prize cash look like on a?
Don't know. Not sure. Pretty cheap tourney. Yeah, I don't know. You just get your name on a plaque, I think, kind of thing. But I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
How about you? What are you up to this week?
This week, not too much. Men's night tomorrow. No, men's night Thursday night, and then home Friday for just to see some family and relax and forget that I have to study. So it'll be nice.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Working on the golf game. You got to work on the golf game.
You know better than anybody. It's been a nice escape. Except I shot. What do you think my worst 9 holes was all year? This will be a fun little game. Seeing my game, you saw my game not last weekend, the weekend before. So you have an idea of what it was looking like.
I'm gonna say worst.
Just 9 holes, not 18.
Worst on 9 holes is maybe a 51.
Oh, buddy, you got to bump those numbers up. If I'm Matthew McConaughey, you got to bump those numbers up. Try
61, 70. Oh, don't say 70.
Close, 58.
Oh, that's 58. Not bad. It's not that bad.
No, it was bad because I don't think I've had 58 all year, so I was pretty disappointed in that. But you throw a couple quads in there, and things start going pretty dark pretty quickly.
Add up quick, yeah.
Yeah.
Add up quick.
So I don't know. We're gonna try and get Juggy on here. It's something where he can't hear us, and we can hear him. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't understand what's going on there. Might be about him adjusting some settings. Shoot him a text though. He was just on here crapping on your Yankees too. Would have been a great time for you to hop on.
Yeah, it would have been a good time to come in and defend myself.
Are you? Would you actually defend, or would you cave in?
No, I don't know. Haven't been watching any live games. I've been more watching the Cole Notes game highlights the next day. It's just faster for me. I find I can't sit there the whole time and watch a game. So
me neither. You know what usually happens to me? As soon as it's the Dodgers games, I hop on. I go on my phone during bed for like 3 or 4 innings, and then by then I'm just crashing. Like I can't watch it. With the Seattle, New York was playing in Seattle this week, so it would probably been the same for you. Those are late games as well.
Yeah, 10 o'clock games last night, or 11 o'clock games, I think they were. So could be worse. But I think the Yanks are doing all right this year. I hope Judge hits 1,000 home runs and just.
Is it unrealistic to think that he could get to 60, and we still have give or take 50 games left?
I don't think it's. I think it's realistic that he can get to 60. Yeah, I think he's got 43, 45, I think 45.
Oh, maybe more. Yeah.
So he's only needs about 15 more, and I think they.
What was the most he had? 50 in his rookie year.
I think 52. I think. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he's closing in on his own records. So yeah. But Yanks lost Carpenter last night. I guess he fractured his foot.
That's too bad. On a slide to the play, or was it just off of a fastball?
I think it was a foul ball. I think it was.
Oh shit!
But
he's been playing well for him too.
Yeah. But I don't know. People if people are listening in our ball league, in our fantasy league, they're saying, what the hell is this guy doing on here talking about baseball? Because he's last in the league.
You had a good little run, though, where you won 2 or 3 weeks out of 4 or 5.
Yeah, I was up there like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, yeah. And then, Calder had to come in and just kind of ruin it.
I got you. We can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear you, Jug.
Can't hear us. I don't know if we collectively have to switch. I'm going to switch my mic. I don't know if that's going to do anything. Can you hear me now, Juggy? Nope. Can you hear me now? He's also on mute, though, so I don't know what that means. I guess he's just muting himself. You had a nice little trip home, I saw, down by the water.
Yeah, put the phone away for the weekend.
Dude,
I was up at my Uncle Josh's cottage for the weekend, and not much service up there in the neck of the woods, I guess. I don't know how it just escapes that one section of Kent County, but it is what it is. It was nice. It's hot as hell all weekend. Got some sun. The golf tan needed it, so.
What's the over-under on dips in that water? Is it too shallow, or is it decent enough to go in?
Your boy didn't get too wet. He jumped in on a tube, and that was about it. I didn't let my feet touch the mud or anything. Yeah, we jumped off the bridge though. I jumped off the bridge on Saturday, so
nice.
Can't go to Kent County and not jump off a bridge. So
not you, no, definitely not you. Oh my God. My poor body would got fractured if I jumped off that bridge. Just made of glass.
Just trying to relive our youth, Shay, in the bridge jumping days in high school.
Yeah. Next time I'm there, I'll do a somersault and I'll take a video for you. I probably will break something, but it's all for the glory days. I'm gonna pop in and pop back out to see if it'll help Juggy here. So give me a second. Tough start to the show. Tough start.
You said this is 2 weeks in a row, Shay?
Yeah, I use all different microphones, so it's clearly a speaker problem going on his side. I don't know if he needs to change a setting, or maybe sometimes speakers just go. I'm not a big tech guy, but I understand that things get their wear and tear. So
yeah, no doubt. Seems like we've had this issue a couple of times in the past.
I know. Got to get some consistency in this.
Need an executive producer, someone that we could cut down. She's not working right.
You looking for a new gig?
What's the pensions like?
Not that I actively search for jobs, but I found this job for St. John SPCA, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice, work with animals.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, it's a not-for-profit, so I'm not getting paid anything.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
You should tell Kennedy to sign up for that.
I got you.
You working now?
There's an echo in the room, but
yeah.
There's some crazy settings going on. Getting all kinds of dark in this podcast.
Do you got me now?
Yes. Yep. Still a little bit of an echo, but I mean.
Yeah, frustrating technology day, but what can you do?
You're gonna get your IT guy to come in there and take a look at some things.
Yeah, it's called a hammer. So no, good to have you guys back on. How are things on the home front?
Oh, never lost Casey.
Did we? Oh.
I can't hear him. Can you hear him?
No.
Casey, can't hear you, my friend.
Busy.
Oh, there you are. We got you back. Can you repeat what you just said?
Oh, okay. Just staying busy, just busy with work, trying to get out and golf as much as I can, and was home for the weekend and got some sun, did a little bit of swimming, and hung out with Shay last weekend. Did a little bit of golfing. Watched his stroke and how he's making her out. So, yeah, just living life, I guess, is what you would say.
Yeah. How does it feel to golf more than people on the live?
Yeah, well, I wish I was making what people are on the live were making. It wouldn't solve any problems, I don't think, but it'd just be nice to look at the account. No, I've been golfing quite a bit. It's I don't know. I get more than 54 holes in a week, I'd say, and that's just what the live is playing. So.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to have you guys on today to talk about a number of different things, but let's start. Actually, we won't start with golf. We'll start with football. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts as to Cleveland Browns, aka Cleveland Clowns, as I call them here on the podcast, fans. Casey, I'll start with you. How are you viewing this upcoming season, rooting for the Clowns with all that's surrounding Deshaun Watson and the team?
Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm still looking forward to football season. I'm looking at Mondays and Thursdays, Monday, Thursdays, and Sundays. It's going to be on the tube every night that it's on. But Browns wise, I'm a little skeptical, a little nervous, I guess, on how the season's going to look. I don't know what this Deshaun suspension is going to look like, and it's, I don't know, tough waters to tread, I guess. But yeah, I think the QB situation is just a big shit show. Like Baker was high ceiling, low
floor.
Yeah, so I don't know. He run out of time there, I guess, and they wanted to see something else. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to the season. What do you think about the Browns?
Yeah. The Browns, how can I say this nicely? I mean, they're a clown show organization. They are run by one of the worst ownership groups in the NFL. I think very little of them as a team. They're the second best team in their own state because the Cincinnati Bengals are better than the Cleveland Browns. So, I mean, Deshaun Watson, it kind of makes me sick the way that it's been handled. I get it. The fans cheering for him at that practice, I think, was really quite despicable. I thought that was pretty disgusting. But, they like signing criminals. They have Kareem Hunt on their roster. They have Deshaun Watson, so that's not completely out of character. But, like I told Shamus in our group chat when he texted me and said, what do you want me to do? Not root for the team? I said, well, root for the team till week 6. You can root, when Jacoby's taken out of the starting role, to hell with the Browns. But I'll let Shamus give his thoughts on his Brownies.
Yeah, I mean, ever since the beginning, it's a shit show. It's gone to shit so quickly, I can't even explain it. It's just it's like a big snowball, but instead it's a big pile of shit, and it just keeps going further and further down that hill. No, I mean, it sucks to see because obviously Deshaun's a horrible human being. I'll never be a fan of him. it's a tough situation because I'm not a bandwagoner. I'm not like my brother who would, oh, this team's great this year. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna start liking them. I'm not that kind of guy. Like I picked Cleveland because they had Baker. Yeah, and they were bad. And I wanted to start at the bottom. And I built my way up to a point that now they're bad, but they're bad for ethical reasons. And it is going to be hard to cheer for them. But there's players on that team you really like that you've grown attached to. Myles Garrett being the biggest one for me. Nick Chubb just right there as well. And how do you not appreciate those guys and those guys' efforts? But obviously, bringing a guy like that's going to ruin the culture. The next couple of years, you're going to see great players like that leave the organization. I put my life and soul on that. And eventually, I think for me, I just probably have to stop cheering for them if they keep going down this road, because eventually, bad management decisions like the one they made this offseason is just going to lead to them being a poor team, obviously.
Right. Let me ask you both this. You guys are both Browns fans. You're both newer Browns fans. If you had to pick a team to root for this year other than the Browns, this can be a team that you think is going to be good. This could just be a team you like their colors, whatever it might be. I'll start with Casey. Who would be the team that you kind of lean towards rooting for this year?
Probably any team without Odell.
What? Come on.
Super Bowl champ.
I'm just joking. I don't know. I was a big fan of watching Cooper Kupp and the Rams last year in the big game. Odell, it is what it is. I liked him when he was with the Browns. I'm sad it didn't work out. I wish he would have had more success and Baker would have gave him more looks so his dad didn't make that video and everything. But, it is what it is. It's if I'm just thinking this could be, I don't know, it could be anybody's year. I'm hoping that the Browns find a way to get some kind of play devil's advocate or villain in some people's stories this year. I'd like to see maybe, I don't know. I don't want to see anybody from the Browns division win. So that'd be, I don't know, first and foremost.
I like that mentality. It's not about who's winning. It's about who's not winning. And you don't want to see Baltimore, the Steelers, or Cincinnati win. So those are always great things. I'd have to say for me, Juggy, I'm going to be an Indy fan this year. Okay. I think acquiring Ryan, I really like Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, he's a fantastic player. I just think that's a nice change. I don't know much about their team, but I'm interested in getting something new. And a guy I always liked was Russell Wilson. So I wouldn't mind following Denver a little bit closely this year as well.
Yeah, that division should be fun. The AFC West is locked and loaded with Russell going to Denver, and you got the Chargers have loaded up. The Raiders look good. So yeah, that'll be an interesting one to follow for sure.
I have a question for you. Do you think less of me and Casey because we're Browns fans still?
That's such a loaded question. I mean, did I really think that highly of you both before? I mean,
I guess. We're in the red now.
I don't think less of you per se, because you're not openly like rooting for the Browns. You're not like cheering for Deshaun when he's coming out of his court case and all of that. So right. I don't think less of you. You're in a tough spot. I get it. I would say that I would sit this year out, and Deshaun, he'll be on the roster next year. You can only do so much. He's going to be there. So I think you let him serve a suspension, hope that he can show some remorse, although I doubt it because he hasn't shown any so far. But maybe then come back to the team a year from now and hopefully start fresh.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's fair.
That'd probably be my approach. But again, I have no dog in the fight, so it doesn't really matter to me. I'm more concerned with Lamar Jackson getting a contract extension. I'm a little bothered that Baltimore hasn't done that yet, but that only benefits your Brownies. So that's another wrinkle in this whole plan is Deshaun Watson gets $235 million guaranteed, and Lamar Jackson, the guy who's won an MVP, hasn't got a nickel from the Ravens yet. So it's really quite interesting how that works. Pivoting to baseball, Casey, your Yankees look good, but they're a team that have a 10.5 game lead that they don't seem like a very confident team. They kind of seem a little middling to me. We'll get to Shay's Dodgers in a minute. How are you feeling about your Yankees at this point of the year?
Well, there's been some slides this year, I guess. There's been some cold streaks that I haven't really hit the panic button. People ask, like, you nervous that they might have peaked too early, or they're played better ball in June and July? Are they going to run cold in September and October? And it's all valid questions. Like, Garrett Cole wasn't anything close to the Garrett Cole that the Yankees wanted when at the start of the season, but I mean, he's gotten progressively better and better over the course of the year. So I'm still, I mean, for the AL East, you got 9 games over the Blue Jays, or 10 games, or whatever it is, and I mean, after that, it's not really that too tight of a race. So I'm still confident that they'll win the AL East, but I don't know. I would like to see them keep kind of just trucking so that they can keep padding the comfort zone, I guess. But I'm still thinking that they're riding the hot streak and just bad weekend.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I mean, they had a good trade deadline. You must have been happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of hurts that Carpenter fractures his foot last night. That's just bad luck. But yeah, pretty happy overall with the deadline and how the season as a whole has looked.
Shay, on the opposite side of the country, you got your Dodgers out there in Chavez Ravine, who are on fire, swept the Padres, the fraudulent Padres. And I mean, you gotta be happy. Do you think the Dodgers are the best team in baseball?
Well, you know what? For me, they're right. I heard you rambling on there at the beginning, and you said Houston. You thought Houston was the best. I do think Houston is probably a little bit better than LA. I'm not going to be that ignorant in saying that.
Is that I'm right, basically, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, but they're not that much. They're not that much further up the road. I mean, the Dodgers are right there. They've got excellent pitching. And really, the X factor this year is going to be if Walker Buehler comes back. It's been question mark after question mark. Dave Roberts doesn't let it slide because he's got tight lips. And is he going to, is he going to let it go that, hey, Walker Buehler's our guy game one of the playoffs? I'd have a hard time saying that he should be, because obviously we haven't seen him play this year. But even if he comes back and is 80% of that guy we've seen in the past, I think you have a really, really good chance of going to another World Series. They're 4th out of 6 years. So, yeah, no, I feel like that's the X factor for me. But for me, also, you got to think about not making any moves this year. You think about 2021. What was the big move? Acquiring Trey Turner and Max Scherzer. 2020, what was the big move in the offseason? Getting Mookie Betts. If you go all the way back to 2018, when Corey Seager got hurt, we got to fill that void. Who did they grab? They grabbed Manny Machado. This is the first year it really feels like they haven't made a giant move, and instead, they're just comfortable with the team they have. And getting a guy back like Walker Buehler is just going to be that addition that they've been waiting for, because, quite frankly, the starting pitching's been good. Tyler Anderson's been easily the biggest surprise for this team, and he's just been a weapon altogether. And so has Urias. So has Tony Goslin, and Kershaw, when he's healthy, is obviously he's still showing that he's an X factor.
Yeah, absolutely. Kershaw's been better than I thought he'd be.
Absolutely,
again,
yeah.
Mid-August, he goes on the IL like clockwork. I don't even know if he's injured. I think they do that just to rest him. They seem to do that every year, and it works out to some degree. I'll ask the both of you, Shay, the biggest threat to the Dodgers in the National League is?
Biggest threat? It's not the Padres, I don't think. The biggest threat is going to have to be the Mets. Yeah, it would be the Mets or Atlanta. And these last 20 to 30 days, the Mets have, to me, just pulled away. They're by far more experienced. They're a hungry team, and they want it. So if that is what you're looking at for an NL final between those two teams, I'd be scared, because they can compete with anybody.
I agree with you. With that 1-2 punch, if they're healthy, DeGrom and Scherzer, no team can throw that at anybody. There's
Nobody.
No two aces, no. even the Dodgers. Casey, the biggest threat to your Yankees are?
I think it's just the Astros. Yeah.
Best team in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, it cost the kid coins before, and I'm hoping it doesn't happen again. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could retell the story now. This was 3 or 4 years ago in my apartment in Fredericton. Myself and Casey Ward are watching Game 7 of the American League Championship Series, and Jose Altuve hits the game-winning home run to deep center off Aroldis Chapman, and it was not a good night for young Casey. He might have swore, might have threw something, and since then he's hated the Astros more than I think he hates Aroldis Chapman. So it's been a real couple of years of hatred between Casey and the
Pretty tight.
Been a real love-hate relationship with Aroldis Chapman. He's got me some big points in fantasy, and then he's also cost me a couple $100. But
was that the hit where he said "Don't touch me" because he was wearing? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah. Another reason to get more angry. I can see probably why. Probably just threw a second fit after seeing that.
Yeah, well, I know. I hope that Chapman just has one save opportunity against the Astros, and
redemption.
Him and Bregman are up, and he just plumps them one off, just 106 to the rib cage or something. It'd be nice just to get a little payback.
Yeah, so we can get ejected so Clay Holmes can finish the game.
Yeah, really.
That way it'll be a win.
Good for everybody.
Win for both. Yeah. What'd you guys make of Jacob Trouba being named the captain of the Rangers today?
Panarin's better.
I think it should have been Chris Kreider.
That surprised me too. I thought it would be Kreider. Because he's been there longer, and I think Trouba kind of embodies the team, the way he played in the playoffs and his hitting style. But yeah, it did surprise me that Kreider didn't get it. I wonder if he's a little pissed off. He
might have not wanted it to. It's hard to say. It's kind of like Panarin saying, "I don't want to see it." Maybe Chris Kreider thought he wasn't the captain worthy, and maybe he said the same thing. But it's hard to tell. He would have been my captain if I had to choose, if I was Gallant.
Yeah, and I only said Panarin's better because Panarin put out that video, whatever, saying to Jacob that he's better. He said, I'm better. And he just goes like that. So
Dougie's favorite player, Tammy Panarin.
Just to spite me, just to get back at me. But I mean, Artemi Panarin's lucky he's not an Arizona State Coyote at this point, the way he played in the playoffs. But he can keep treading water in New York.
What did you think of the arena? Did you guys see did you see it all decked out with Arizona gear? Looking like the old.
I think they had as many fans in there as they will all year.
It's a subtle chirp. Jesus, looking like the Moncton Coliseum in there. Pretty non-eventful.
Yeah, Moncton Coliseum for the old RNS games at the Monctonian.
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't go out to see any of those. You drug me to the Red Ball Internet Center instead. Watch a couple of Quebec teams.
We couldn't go across the road. It's a big trip.
Had to save on gas. Price of it nowadays.
That's it. Diesel ain't cheap these days, buddy. So we gotta save money where we can. Let's go to golf, because next 3 weeks is some of the funnest times in golf, where we got the FedEx Cup playoffs. We got this weekend in Memphis. We got the BMW next week, and then we finish up with the Tour Championship 2 weeks from Thursday. So we got 121 in the field as we currently stand. We're still waiting to hear on 3 guys from the Live Tour that are hoping to get in because they qualified. They're suing. It's a whole big show. We'll wait and see on that. But with all the guys, and the way it works is you got to do well to move in. There's the top 70, then there's the top 30 get into the final round, and then it's based on ranking points. But Shay, I'll start with you. Just the way we've seen the last couple weeks, and you're seeing guys in the standings. Is there anybody you think that is low that might sneak into the to next weekend at the BMW?
Yeah, he's not low by any means, but I really think he's had a quiet year. I think Colin Morikawa is due for something big to happen to him. And, I think this could be it. I think right now he sits at 22nd, which is not low by any means. That's a pretty good spot. But you're looking at some of the names above him, like Billy Herschel. Well, I don't think Billy Herschel's a better golfer than Colin Morikawa, right? So, he's a guy who I want to see do well. And my prediction is that he's not only places the top 30, I think he gets into the top 10. Maybe doesn't win it, but I think he's due for a well run, and I think this is a good time to make some cash for him.
Casey, anybody for you?
We're gonna go a little lower than Shea. We're gonna go HV3. I think I think he's gonna sneak his way.
Wow.
He's gonna sneak his way into the to the Tour Championship. I think he's gonna find a way to battle it out with some of these guys on the at the Northern Trust, and I think you just got to worry about getting through Thursday and Friday, and then let the weekend take care of itself. And then from there, is just got to continue on with keep the game rolling the way that it has been, and yeah, I mean he's a good golfer. Shea's picked him a couple of times this year for low rounds and whatnot, and it hasn't panned out. But then it has panned out when it's not really important or whatever, right?
Down by 16 strokes, I'll tell you that.
Good comeback, guy. He's got great kicks too. Great kicks.
Yeah.
He's got good gear. I agree.
What about? I get a question for both of you. This guy, he's been a question mark all year on my mind. He's placed 16th, so he's in the top 30. Jon Rahm, does he make your top 30? Does he sneak him in there, or is he gonna fade?
Yeah, the thing is, if he's gonna have a bad round, it should be this week, because you can be in the top 30 to 50. And you could miss the cut this week. You'll still be playing at the BMW. You'll just drop in rankings a bit. He's been so bad this year. It's really been staggering. He won the one tournament. That was the Barracuda Championship. But again, it was a very limited field, and it wasn't that great. He'll be a guy I don't think makes the final round. He'll be a big head scratcher coming off a season where he should have won PGA Tour Player of the Year, if you ask me, ahead of Mr. Hugo Boss, Patrick Cantlay. But I don't think he'll make the top 30 just because he's played so inconsistent this year. You mentioned Morikawa. He's had a similar year to Jon Rahm where they've both been disappointments. But I'd bank on Morikawa playing better than Jon Rahm. What do you think, Case?
Yeah, I don't know. For Rahm, it seems like the difference from last year to this year is just like the confidence, and like I've seen so many clips from tournaments where he's walking off the greens after missing a putt or missing two putting or three putting, and he's just irate that the greens are in whatever conditions or the pins are certain spots, and it definitely is frustrating. Like greenskeepers definitely aren't the nicest guys half the time, and there are tucked pins and whatnot on slopes and everything, but yeah, I don't know. I'm be interested to see if he doesn't make Tour Championship. I think he'll, when push comes to shove, I think he'll be able to kind of just put everything aside and maybe grind his way through. But yeah, I don't know. He's really struggled this year.
I have a hot take. I think Jon Rahm misses the first cut.
So he misses this weekend. He'll miss the cut this weekend.
Yes, but he won't get into the top 70.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that's my prediction.
Okay, I like the fire. Jon Rahm will not make the top set. That would be a tough season for him, and
that'd be a fall. But I don't know. I got a feeling. Who do you like, Juggy?
What's that?
Said, who are you liking? You must have some guys you.
Yeah, I'll name. Okay, I'll get to those guys, and we got some breaking news in the golf world that I'll break here. I like KH Lee to get into the top 70. He's played really consistently good golf all year. He won a tournament. He won the back-to-back tournaments at the Wells Fargo, I believe he won. So he's won back-to-back years there. So I like KH Lee. He's a guy I think will get into the top 70 for sure. I'm thinking bottom of the standings. I like to pick a little guy just to sneak in. You got Mr. Irrelevant, a.k.a. Ricky Fowler, who's last right now, who's snuck in. He's not going to make the top 70, so I'm not going to pick Mr. Rick. I'll pick KH Lee, and I'll actually go with the guy who won last weekend, Tom Kim. snuck in, got his tour card. The kid can play. He shot a 61 on a Sunday. I think he will get into the top 70 and be a part of the second part of the BMW Championship. I like Tom Kim, Cage Lee, a couple of guys for me to look out for.
That guy must have ice in his veins to quad on the first hole and then go 61. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That must have been ridiculous.
To shake that off. I don't know how you do that. It's called mental fortitude, because
I can play 2 weeks later and I'm still shooketh by a quad. So good for him.
Yeah, good, and I think he's good for the sport. They got to keep him on the PGA Tour because he's
That's what I've been hearing.
He's an interesting guy. But as I say that, breaking news, it's official. Cameron Smith is headed to the LIV Tour. It's reportedly for over $100 million. Will debut at their Boston event. So I believe he's going to play at the FedEx, which is a complete slap in the face of the PGA Tour. Try to win the FedEx Cup, and then go join the LIV Tour. So this is a big loss. This is the biggest loss yet for the PGA Tour.
Big time.
Way bigger than Bryson or Mr. Cheater, Patrick Reed, or even Dustin Johnson, who doesn't even, like I said, Casey loves golf more than Dustin Johnson ever did. So what's your guys' reaction here in Cam Smith? The most recent major winner is defecting to Greg Norman and the Saudi Tour.
Head scratcher. I mean, like he tore it up on the tour this year. I mean,
second in the FedEx.
Yeah, but I mean, second in the FedEx, but it's like you can tell right away like who the top 5 golfers are in the world, kind of, without even judging it off of any point system or anything, right? Like you kind of know, like weekend in, weekend out, like major weekend, who's going to be in the run of things. And like our weekly pool is how often do I pick either Justin Thomas or Cameron Smith. It's like every second week they're my first pick. So like for me, I think like Cameron Smith is just one of those guys that the tour, like I haven't watched a tour event live, but watching it on TV, like you can see some of the shots that he hits and the creativity that he has around the greens. And I don't know, I think it's just a big loss to the tour itself. But I mean, at the same time, half the guys that are going to the LIV Tour are just doing it for cash. And if he wants to make some bankroll, then more power to him.
Yeah, and Casey brings up a great point, I think, about, guys who are over there now who, they were not consistent at majors. They were not, consistent week in, week out. Cam Smith was consistent at majors. He was always in the running and, obviously winning one this year at the Open. But even to further that, he was just a presence on the tour, from his style to, his interviews. I thought he was a pretty decent interview most of the time. So it's going to be tough, but what was my major story, Juggy, earlier this summer when I said there was going to be some big guys leaving? I called this right from the beginning. I said, as soon as the majors are done, guys are going to be moving off. Lesser known guys, of course, Mark Leishman, Bubba Watson are leaving. But this is the big one. This is the big fish for them. And it's just a head scratcher because they have no fans. They have no fans going to their events. No one's streaming this. This is a strictly cash grab for every single guy that's on this league, and partying and doing whatever else. It seems like it's, for them, I don't know how you love golf and love competition and go to this league, because otherwise.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah. Otherwise it's just disheartening. So I really feel for them. I don't know whether this means Cam Smith will, I could see him being back on the tour because he's that good and he's such a product to have. But it is kind of a major loss. Maybe we won't see him for another couple of years.
Yeah, and like you said, the competition thing, this LIV event with teams and shotgun starts and the music, and like you said, you can't watch it, and who would want to watch it anyway? It's not golf. Like it's just not. It's not compelling to watch. I have the zone, so I threw it on for 30 minutes. The last event, it was complete trash. So I turned it off, and I turned on the. I'll watch I'll watch golf on TV. It could be the Wyndham. I watch the Wyndham on Sunday. It doesn't matter to me who's really playing, but I mean, Cam Smith wants the money. He could have made a lot of money in the PGA Tour because he's that good. He could have won.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I look at him, and I look at him differently because he's not thinking about winning, thinking about building a legacy. He's just thinking about making money. And maybe he, like Dustin Johnson, like a lot of these guys, he doesn't love golf as much as maybe we thought he did originally.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is what we're going to do for our picks this week. I based it on kind of a standing system. I went with the guy who's won the most, and that would be Casey. He's got 2 wins. And then Shamus, I'm going to give you the option because you won the recent. So you can either pick second or you can go third. It's up to you.
I'm going to bet on myself. I'll go third.
Okay. So yeah, Casey, you're going to have the first pick, followed by me. Then Shamus will have 2. You guys know the way this goes. So Casey, you have the first pick for the St. Jude Championship. You are on the clock.
So Smith is in the field this week, though, eh?
He will be, yeah. He will be. After just dogging him.
Yeah. We're going to lock him up because we're going to take that first pick. We're going to hope that he's just going to hit the tour with a farewell of dominance and just go 3 W's in 3 weeks and head off to the Live Tour.
Yeah, we never even talked about this, but what if he wins? That'd be the craziest thing. He wins and he rides into the sunset.
It'd be like CM Punk winning the WWE title. WWE just saying goodbye to Vince McMahon. It was
shakes his hand.
Childhood there. That was, but it would be bad. Like I don't know. They're lighting a fire under Scotty Scheffler right now. I'll tell you that, to go win some golf events because they do not want Cam Smith. They want him to break his leg on the first tee.
Yeah, the first time ever that GEDs has been introduced into golf for old Cam Smith. Or Scotty Scheffler, sorry. Juggy, who do you got? Who's going to match that guy?
So I'm looking here. John Rahm's plus 1,600, heavy favorite. Just throw that in here. Not picking him. Finau's been hot lately. You got Patrick Cantlay, aka Mr. Hugo. It's against my nature to pick him because I just hate his get up so much. I'm gonna take the U.S. Open champion, keep the pin in, Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Oh, it's gonna be my pick too.
It's a good pick.
How they know?
You know what? I called him out earlier. I had a lot of confidence in him. My first pick will be Colin Morikawa, 2-time major champion winner. And the second pick, I will pick Scotty Scheffler.
All right, back to me. A lot of names up there at the top. I don't like to pick the favorites. It's a little
boring, eh?
A little boring. It's a little snooze. Looking down here at the bottom, guys who are paying well on FanDuel. I'm not picking them, just so you guys know. H. Verner the third plus 10,000. If you wanted to put a little splash on him this weekend. Keith Mitchell the Visor plus 10,000. So there's another little sneaky little devil in there for you, Case. I know you're eyeing him up. I will be taking one of my favorites, Sungjae Im.
Oh, Casey. That's a tough loss.
Man.
Plus 3,500.
Took him right out from underneath me.
Yeah,
I had him. Oh, man. So I get 2 back-to-back here now, eh?
2 back-to-back, yep.
Man, oh, man. I can't believe Shamus took Scheffler either. Between me and Cole McDonald, we put enough bad juju on that guy this year. What?
Yeah.
He hasn't won since.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, he hasn't.
Exactly.
He's due, is the way I see it.
Oh, yeah,
he's coming in for a big one.
You better hope he's not wearing a vest this weekend because Cole will ignite his golf bag on fire.
He'll fly to Memphis and kill him just for that vest.
Yeah. No. For pick 2 and 3 here, I think I could go with the top 10er, but I'm just gonna go with someone not in the top 10. I'm gonna go with Max Homa as my second pick.
Juggy's boy.
And then we're gonna go little dark horse action here. I need to know the odds on it too, Juggy. So if you can get the FanDuel going.
Yeah, I got it right here.
We need one Kevin Kisner.
No way. plus 200,000.
Man, I'd be rich if he won.
Plus 17,500.
There you go. Sprinkle some cheddar on that, boys.
I'm gonna throw a buck on him just for you, and if he wins it, I'll lose mine.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not the pick though.
No, okay.
Oh,
Well, I'm still gonna throw a buck on him.
Yeah, he's definitely not. He's definitely not going to do it for me though. But yeah, definitely support Kisner if you can. Throw a couple bucks on him, maybe he'll win some cash. But I'm gonna go with number 21 ranked JT Poston. I'm gonna go with him.
Guy.
That's my
Nice
final pick. Smith, Homa, and Poston.
That brings it back to me, and one of my favorites is sitting there in Rory McIlroy. He's brought me a lot of success this year, made me a lot of cash. Xander Schauffele still lurking, so there's some good names. My boy Christian Bezuidenhout, he's also sitting there. Playing good golf. No, enough of the crap. I'm going to pick Rory McIlroy.
Oof.
Cam Smith has him in his back pocket.
That's what I was gonna pick too. I'm gonna say that. Honestly, like not even just joking for the pod. I was gonna say that.
I get more excitement that I picked guys that you guys wanted.
Yeah, the second one, you just swept right under me.
Love that Sung Jae Im pick more now than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark horse here. I don't think he'll win, but he's gonna win this year.
Dark horse after you make your pick, we'll do an extra pick this week. We'll pick a dark horse, and I'll list off odds. It has to be like heavy odds, like
okay.
I know Case pick. He'll pick Kiz.
Oh yeah.
Good branding guy. This guy's not even really a dark horse, but I'm gonna take Joaquin Neiman.
I like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He can flat out putt, that guy. So I'm gonna look at. I said Kisner's odds are 17,500. So we'll set the standard there, and I'll kind of list off some names for you, Shay, around there. We'll go at plus 15,000. We'll go up there too. We'll go from 15,000 down. So we got Tom Hoagie, good veteran. Brendan Todd, Lee Hodges, Stuart Sink, Kevin Streelman, K.H. Lee, Kurt Kitayama, Russell Knox, Adam Svensson, Canadian, Ryan Palmer, C.T. Pan, Casey's boy, Doug Gim, Big Nate Lashley, Rick Fowler, Mac Hughes. There's a few names for you.
Okay. I'll take CT Pan.
Motherfucker.
He's good.
What?
I thought you got Kisner.
I know, but you gotta have options here. CT Pan's been my boy half the year.
Okay.
Solid golfer.
Okay, well, do you not want him?
He's trained and he's switching 100%.
Up. I'll take his.
Kuchar?
No, I got kids 17,000 and a half. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. I'll take KH Lee plus 22,500. I talked about him earlier. I'll take KH Lee. But yeah, no, looking forward to this weekend. A lot of interesting, some good possible, good ways to make money this weekend for sure.
Oh yes.
And yeah, love that for moving forward. Anything else you guys want to talk about in the sports world? I said we could ask me anything. If you have any questions that you wanted to fire.
Yeah, me. I got two for you, Juggy.
Okay, fire away.
So I know you're dogging on my Yanks, but realistically, how far do you think this is the year that we go?
I think
we're making the playoffs.
Yes, absolutely. I think they can get to an ALCS. I think they're going to need some help to get by Houston because, I mean, Verlander might win the Cy Young and the MVP the way he's pitching right now, and I'm not even kidding. I know Judge has been fantastic, but Verlander's got a 173 ERA. He's fucking 40 years old. The guy, he's a horse. If he can win 20-plus games, he could get there. I think the Yanks can get to an ALCS. Again, you never know with the against Houston, but I think they need to get home field advantage. That's huge for them not to go to Houston for those games. But they can get there. I don't think the AL is that loaded. I think the Jays are the third best team, and I think they're well behind the Yankees and the Stros right now.
Yeah, no, thanks. I'll put that in my cap. And last question is, I know I was listening to your pod yesterday. You said you're going to the World Juniors next week.
Yes, sir. Monday.
Right on. So, who like obviously Bedard's the top dog to watch over there, but who's somebody off the grid that the regular Joe Schmo like me or Shay wouldn't know? That's
I know everybody.
Oh,
Don't try to get that by me.
Okay. All right. So I'll throw a couple at you. This is a team that nobody will care about. It's Team Austria, but they have my guy Marco Kasper's 8th overall pick from the Detroit Red Wings. Incredibly talented. He won't be in the NHL right away because it's Detroit and they nurture and they develop prospects better than anybody in the National Hockey League, maybe other than Tampa. And, well, their GM used to be in Tampa, so go figure there. So Kasper is one. In net for the Swedes, one of my favorites, Jesper Wallstedt, one of the best prospects outside of North America. He was drafted 13th overall by Minnesota 2 years ago. So he's another guy for me to watch for the Swedes. And one that's curious for me is Luke Hughes for the U.S. on the back end. I think New Jersey wants him to play in the NHL this year. He's still deciding if he's going to go back to school. I think this tournament will have a lot of an impact on if he ends up playing in the NHL or going back to school. So Luke Hughes would be another. So those are three for me to watch for in this tournament.
No, right on. They'll definitely have to check out an Austria game and see this guy. I don't know. I think it. Yes, I don't know. I think it's going to be a good tournament. It's different that it's in the summertime, but I'm happy that they're getting a resume in or whatever, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just happy for the kids that they get to play in it, right? Like they get McTavish gets to finish what he started. Kent Johnson, a lot of these guys, Luca Cormier from here, gets to finish what he started. And I don't mind the content in hockey games. In August, it's something to watch. It's something, you can only watch so much Blue Jays Orioles. So I'm happy to have some hockey throw on as well.
Never get enough.
You want to fire at me?
Yeah. I have two Ask Noah questions. First, happy to hear that you're going to that tournament. I know you're supposed to go in December, so really, really happy you're going to make your way out there this time around. I hope you enjoy it. I'll piggyback off one of Casey's questions on one of my own. Biggest surprise for the World Juniors, good or bad, for a team, not just a player?
If Slovakia had a lot of their players back, I would have picked Slovakia to get to a semifinal, potentially medal at this tournament. But they don't got Slavkovsky, they don't got Simon Nemec, so that eliminates that. You got Canada in the same division as the Czechs and the Finns. So Finland or Canada will not play each other in the quarterfinal and likely the semi because they'll cross over and that'll work. I'm going to say that Finland defeats the United States in the semifinal in an upset of sorts, and the Finns defeat Canada to win the gold medal, and Brad Lambert will be the tournament MVP.
Okay. Deep dive there.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty realistic to me. My second one, Leylah Fernandez. She won her first round. How far does she go in the Canadian Open?
I think she at least gets to a quarterfinal. I think she can go farther. I think it depends on her stamina. She's played one match since May, and that was obviously last night, as you just mentioned.
Yep.
So I think just depending on how physically fit she is coming off of her foot fracture, I think she can go very far. It's a strong field, which is great for Canada, that there's a lot of great men and women on both sides of the draw. So I think it'll get good ratings. But I think I'd love to see Leylah and Serena possibly meet. That would be an epic battle. Serena obviously announcing today that she's going to be retiring after the U.S. Open in a couple weeks. But I think Leylah, I'm going to say at least a quarterfinal, but she can absolutely win this tournament.
Yeah. I don't follow tennis nearly as hard as you do. But watching her last year made me, inspired to watch a little bit more and at least follow along with most of her matches. So excited to see that she won one.
She's incredibly fun to watch. Like, she's always into it, and she's like vibrant and with the crowd. So
she's passionate. Absolutely.
She's fun. Her and Dennis from Canada are definitely the most interesting to watch for Canadian content.
Okay. Noted.
Well, boys, I know you guys are busy. Casey, I know it's raining, but you'd probably still find a way to get on a golf course. So I appreciate you taking the time tonight. Shay, as always, good to see you on a Tuesday. But we'll have to get together again soon, and maybe we'll watch some football in the fall.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Amen on that one.
All right.
Well, boys, take care, and thanks for the time.
See you, lads.
Thank you to Casey. Thank you to Shamus for joining. I apologize for the technical difficulties. That was on my end to start the show. Got that figured out, got the echo gone. So eventually all things turn up on the right side of things here. Great show today. We'll be back tomorrow. I want to get into the Patriots. There's a Patriots story out there that's interesting. There's some other news in the NFL in regards to Raquan Smith, Mekhi Becton of the Jets, and we'll update the World Juniors Day 1 tomorrow, and also some college football news as well. So thank you guys for joining today. Appreciate the support as always. And as always, this is To The Point.